Castellanos, ABC News political analyst. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning.
Explain to me what Sean Hannity's doing. Is he talking? Is he the Trump sound piece in this Roy Moore story?
Well, the story's moving, and Sean Hannity reflects the concern of a lot of Republicans and conservatives about Judge Roy Moore, who story's not holding together. First, Roy Moore goes on the radio and says, "I completely deny dating teenage minors." Then he says, "Well, it wasn't my general practice to date teenage minors. I didn't often do it." And then he says, "Well, but when I did date teenage minors, I always asked their mother's permission first." In other words, I asked mom if their daughters could come out and play. It's a devastating explanation, and he has lost the support of a lot of folks.
It doesn't look like he is stepping down. It looks like he is maintaining quite a bit of support in his home state of Alabama. Why can't the people of Alabama choose on their own who they want to represent them in this situation?
Well, ultimately they will. That's why we have elections. And right now the surveys have Judge Roy Moore up 4 or 5 points. And the reason is it's such a tough call. Alabama Republicans look at Washington and they say, "Oh my God, these people are taking the country over the cliff. We've got to change direction. Our only chance is to have a Republican Senate and Congress and actually try to get something done. Our house is on fire. We need a fireman to put the fire out. Oh my God, the fireman is a pedophile. What do we do?" It is a very tough call for the voters of Alabama.
It's also very difficult for the party of family values, for the party of personal responsibility. It's very hard for them to swallow this, but it looks like they're doing a pretty good job of swallowing it, though.
They're doing a pretty good job of swallowing it, even though they have cut off, Washington Republicans have cut off Roy Moore's funding. They've pulled Republican organization out of Alabama. They're doing everything they can to get him out of this race and hit the reset button because they are petrified that 2018, Judge Roy Moore in the Senate would be the face of the Republican Party. Donald Trump has made the Democratic Party great again. He has intensified and united the Democratic Party, just like Obama united the Republican Party not that long ago. And right now, women are coming out to vote in droves against Donald Trump. Add the face of Roy Moore to that for 2018, and Republicans are worried they would lose the House of Representatives.
Okay, so what does President Trump do? All of his supporters are the ones continuing to back Roy Moore. What does Donald Trump do in this situation?
Well, it's tough for Donald Trump because of his history on issues affecting abuse of women. We all know that some of the comments Trump made during the campaign, and Republicans are very worried that this is going to be the year that women grabbed back. And so right now, the smartest thing for Donald Trump to do is lay low on this issue and let other Republicans deal with it.
George Wills said that the Republicans should allow Alabamans to vote, and they'll do the right thing. Do you think Roy Moore wins this Senate seat?
If I had to bet your house, I would bet that Roy Moore falls short. But if I had to bet my house on it, McGraw, I think he might edge this out by a point or so.
Details. Interesting. All right, Alex Castellanos, what about this individual mandate? Do they understand how insurance works in Washington, D.C.?
Of course not. They're protected from all the usual economic pressures that real Americans face. But what's happened politically is that by dragging health care into the tax reform debate, Republicans have given Democrats even more reason to oppose tax reform. When you have Democrats fighting for health care, when you have Republicans divided on what tax reform should be, should we get rid of those state and local deductions? A lot of Republicans don't want to do that. When you have divided Republicans and unified Democrats against it, it's going to be very tough to get tax reform done.
If healthy young people don't have to buy health insurance, that means middle-aged, rich, middle-class people are going to have their taxes raised by this tax cut, and their insurance premiums are going to go through the roof. So I don't know how it's a benefit, this tax cut, for a lot of middle-class people whose insurance prices are going to go through the roof and taxes are going to go up.
Washington always promises we're going to do something for the middle class or working people, and somehow that doesn't ever seem to work out. We're looking at that same situation again. Tax reform, if you're going to cut taxes, you're going to have to cut taxes for the people that pay them. That's going to be a lot of corporations. That's going to be a lot of very successful people. That's what's going to get money into the economy. You want to do that to grow the economy. But middle-class folks, a lot of middle-class folks are going to see some taxes go up as they lose some deductions.
Last point, Alex, and that is yesterday, not a very big story, but it was announced that Congress has paid $15 million in sexual harassment suits over the last number of years because of congressmen and women, and the American public doesn't know and will not know who got paid off and which senators and congressmen were involved, even though it was taxpayer money. How is that possible?
Well, I don't think that's going to hold up. I think the genie is out of that bottle. Now that we know there are Democrats and Republicans that, in effect, have had to pay hush money to keep their sexual atrocities out of the news, to protect themselves, I don't think American people are going to let Washington get away with this one. I think it's a matter of time before we see some names and faces. Who are these people, and why are they still in office representing us?
And using taxpayer dollars to pay off their own lawsuits.
Exactly. They even created a process that says if a woman is sexually harassed and wants to accuse someone of taking advantage of her, there has to be a cooling-off period. She has to have counseling, and then if we don't like it, we can try to buy her off with taxpayer money. That's not going to hold up.
The only man left who has any sense in Washington, D.C., Alex Castellanos. Alex, thanks for checking in.